almost. It looked like it was mud. I don't know what it was. It was a flying saucer or what it was. It wasn't an airplane. It was not an airplane. It was down off the low.
You're listening to Pursuit of the Paranormal podcast with your hosts, Ash Ellis and Greg Tomlinson.
Hey Ash, how are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you doing, Greg?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I'm good. How's your week been?
Very good, very busy.
Yeah.
We've both done lives this week.
We have.
TikTok. We've been hitting it quite a lot this last week or so.
Lone Vigil week.
Yes, it has been, actually.
Because you done your basement for the first time alone.
First time, that was hard.
And
That's
I
what
did.
She said.
And I done a cemetery last night on my own.
That was really good.
That came out really well. Although, literally, the first minute I was out, I walked into a tree. And the branch literally got me right in the eye just there. Just went, woof. I was like, oh, God, that was right at the start. And I was... But that was a good one. It's the one thing that I don't think people appreciate from doing the lives, unless they do them, is when you've got like one or two people commenting, it's all good and you can read the comments. But where our lives have grown so much recently, and we're sort of up to the triple digits, now we're getting like, I think last night there was 1,400 comments. We've had 1,700 comments. And one person, I'm actually, sometimes I've got the screen up, I'm filming stuff, but I'm actually scrolling back up comments because I've seen somebody wants to ask a question, and I feel rude at times because I haven't answered the question. So I scroll back up to try and find it, and then the camera's all over. I miss stuff. And again, we had screenshots sent to us on Facebook last night.
It's hard because like we've always sort of said where the one thing we want to do with obviously the lives, the engagement, and making sure we acknowledge everyone that follows, everyone that comments, everyone that likes, everyone that gifts. And when we first started it, probably 2 months ago now, it was obviously weren't as busy, so we were able to respond to every comment, acknowledge every person that's following or sharing. And now it's so hard, like you say, because there's literally thousands of comments, and trying to do the investigation, but also there's constant comments and stuff's happening on the live. And I don't want someone that sends a gift. If someone sends a gift, which has cost them money.
Yeah.
We want to make sure we are acknowledging that person.
Yeah.
They're spending their money on us. They're giving us money effectively.
Yeah.
It's like I don't want to miss people giving me money, basically.
No, exactly.
But it's so hard because you want to do the investigation. You want to be doing the shouting out, the talking, the investigation. We also trying to keep up with the comments. It's difficult. I think as like I say, been growing to having hundreds of people watching. On the lives and thousands of comments. I can see why sort of the bigger ones don't, because it's just I think you just can't. I think trying to keep it's good. It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, definitely. I remember there was at one point, I think we were both at Delamere, and there was just streams of comments. I couldn't even keep up with the comments. It was just like you couldn't. So, but I also like the way we do the lives, and I know other channels don't necessarily acknowledge people. I see that, and I do get like the people like GTI, and they're probably a prime example. Like I've been on one of their lives, so there's like 10,000 people watching them, and there's literally no way they can. They just can't see any of those comments. They're just streaming. But I think that the good thing that we do on both of our separate lives and when we're together is people will say, "Oh, just saw something there to the left." So it's like, okay, right, let's point the torch that way, and then we've got comments going, yeah, left a bit. So we try and like build the engagement with people so that they can feel part of the investigation as well. Because when I'm on, like last night, I was on my own in that cemetery. Literally, and as I think we said it on the last episode, you start there and you're talking, and there's nobody on there. There's literally nobody even watching you. And it's interesting when you download the lives afterwards or review the lives afterwards, that first few minutes is quite awkward watching myself just sort of standing there waiting for the first person to come on. But yes, it's mad. It's mad. And I do thoroughly enjoy it.
I really like doing it. It's good.
Yeah. So we've got an amazing guest this week.
Oh, yes.
A household name, UK soap star.
Yes, I've been talking to him for literally about 2 years.
That's mad.
On this show. We've arranged it in the past and we've had to cancel, and then he was leaving the show he was on, and then went on tour with something else, and then we're going to do something after that. But then he got another job, which we talk about when we interview him. Our UK listeners will recognise his face.
Definitely.
He was in Emmerdale for over 11 years, playing Dan Spencer on Emmerdale. But it's like one of the biggest shows in the UK. It's on like 4 or 5 times a week. It has about 3.5 million viewers every night. So, yeah, you will know our guest this week, and he is big into the paranormal, as we'll find out.
Yes, indeed.
Well, good evening, and we're very excited to welcome this week's guest. We've been trying to get this guest on for a while, but due to very busy schedules, it's not quite happened till now, but it's happening, and I'm really excited about this. And you'll find out why kind of as we go on. So our audience is quite mixed. We have a big UK listener base. We also have a big American listener base and other countries around the world. So I think a lot of our UK listeners will probably know who you are. You spent probably, was it 10, 11 years on our 11 years.
Nearly 12. Yeah.
So on our screens every 3 or 4 or 5 nights a week in the living rooms of the UK. And so you were on. So for our American listeners, one of the biggest soaps in the UK is Emmerdale. And our guest tonight, Liam Fox, was, like you just said, nearly 12 years as a star on Emmerdale in the UK. So welcome, Liam. Thank you for joining us.
Great to be here at last. Yeah,
welcome.
Fantastic. Been away for a year non-stop, travelling the country, so it's nice to be at home and but I'll do things like this. Oh yeah, great.
Awesome. Yeah, because you spent the last 12 months on tour with Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, 310 shows around the UK over the last 12 months. So, yeah, it was great show, great cast, but by the end of it, ready for a break. Absolutely.
I bet.
How do you get to the end of that many shows and still have like an enjoyment on each show? Because obviously you must know that script and everything inside out.
Yeah, you get to a point where you start making mistakes because you know it so well.
Yeah,
you know, because you can't think. You become on such an autopilot that you start thinking outside of the box and you start to make mistakes. So there was one bit where I was singing Posh one night and some of the ensemble came in on slightly a different order, ever so slightly, and all I could think about was, oh, why are they in that order? And then I forgot the next 2 lines of the song. I got it back quick enough somehow, but little things like that. But you still enjoy it, mainly because you get a full house every night. I mean, we pretty much sold out everywhere we went, and it was just such a nice team as well. And to play Grandpa Potts was, I can't complain because that's like a dream of a role. So I never thought I'd get a chance to play something like that. So, all fabulous.
Awesome.
What's it like kind of, so obviously with Emmerdale, you kind of spent 11, 12 years, so I guess in the same place, the same set that's in Leeds or around Yorkshire, to then going around the country. How was that kind of, that change like, in your life? That
Nice change, yeah. I probably did a year or two too many in Emmerdale in reality. I think, Dan had when I first came in, Dan and his family were just so much part of the show, and there was so much humour in the show at that point. Because cast numbers were bigger. There was more time to have big cast numbers. The Woolpack's full of different characters, and there was all that going on, and things change, and a lot of that's to do with budgets in soaps and everything. You can't have as many people in scenes. The humour's different. Most soaps have gone down a very dramatic route now, and Yeah, it's probably time for Dan to go. Whether he'll ever come back in the future or not, I don't know. But it's certainly nice to get out there and do theatre and musical theatre. I'd only sang on stage once before in the pantomime at St Helens just before I started this job. So suddenly you're in a #1 musical theatre tour. Your brain's a bit like, how have I got here? There was some nights I'd literally be in front of 3,000 people thinking, what am I doing here? You know, but great, just blessed. Yeah, but loved every second of it, and I'll certainly do more musical theatre. I want to do more theatre, full stop, really. Just because that's where you start out in this game. I love doing telly as well, obviously, but you can't beat a live audience.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose it's quite a good way for Dan to go out with the one punch in that creep. It was
yeah. Well,
quite
when
cool.
the producers came to me, the writers had come up with a story about they wanted somebody in the cast to do this one punch storyline, which would mean they'd be getting written out, and they wanted that character to be somebody who would be unexpected to do it. And Dan was that character. He was the lovable sort of bloke next door figure who would suffer the most having made that mistake. So I got the short straw, but that was fine. It was cool when they told me. I was quite relieved because I was ready for a change, and I actually thanked the producer when she came to. She thought I was a lie. I think she thought, "Are you sure?" She was going, "You all right? You all right?" I said, "No, I am, seriously." Sometimes you have to be given that bit of a push to move on to new things, And yeah, it's been all right so far.
Nice one. So moving on to paranormal.
Mm.
So what kicked off it initially? Is it a lifelong thing, or is it something you've done more recently? What's this kind of story behind that?
Well, I used to see orbs as a kid. I saw my first orb in my bedroom when I was about 10. I saw the ghost of my nan by my bed on my dad's side, my Irish nan, and then various sort of psychic things that sort of had happened every now and again, and then I saw a UFO in '97 in Manchester in the middle of the day above my head, a cigar-shaped UFO. It was a bright summer's day, and it was there about 200 feet above my head. The classic cigar shape. And I had my feet in a little paddling pool. It was the last few weeks of hot weather we've had. It was like that. I can't remember if it's '97 or '98 now. But anyway, my feet were in this paddling pool, and I sensed something was looking at me, and I looked up, and this thing was there. And I was just open mouthed and went, "What the?" And then it just went, and it just shot over Manchester and vanished. So that was, once you've seen something like that, I don't know if it's alien or if it's Artec or whatever, but it was something.
Wow, my UFO sighting was in 1997. So when he said that, I was like, that was the same year
Really?
as my one. Mine was a triangle one.
Yeah.
That was in Warrington, so not too far away. But
Well, funny enough, because obviously I'm in Warrington now. I did see one about 5 days ago in Warrington in my back garden. It wasn't cigar shaped. Obviously, we've had really clear skies at night, and I was just in the back garden. You could see all the stars, everything. It was clear as a bell. And then there was this big one white light, and I looked at it, just presumed it was a star, and then suddenly it was still. Then it just shot across the sky, stopped, and then shot again and vanished.
wow.
It didn't have flashing lights on it. It was solid white. So it wasn't an aircraft. It wasn't, any of our aircraft will have the flashing lights on them, won't they? But this didn't, and it wouldn't have been a meteorite or anything like that. I can't explain what it was.
Mad. Have you been to the Eagle and Spaceman?
No.
No, it's a cool place. It's on Church Street, like UFO alien themed bar near Sainsbury's.
Oh, really? I'll check it out.
We had because I won UFO group. We have our meetings. We had one in there. Just proper cool UFO.
Brilliant.
That's what you might have heard about it, but yeah, no.
I will check it out. I kind of come in and out of it. I kind of we did our podcast the other year, and then I go off do something else and forget about it, and come back in, and I'm intrigued by it. I don't know what they are. You know, there's something though, isn't there? There's something going on.
So talking about your podcast is Into the Unknown with Foxy and the Lamb.
Yeah.
You co-host Gina Lamb. What was it made you want to do the podcast? Sort of go down and kind of create a group?
Just, well, I've known Gina for 30 years. And she's a talent, and I had a bit of spare time and just wanted to come up with something. She wasn't quite as interested in the paranormal as I was, and then we started it. And on the first episode, we went to 30 East Drive in Pontefract, the haunted house there, and her and Lorraine Robinson, who was part of the team as well. They neither of them believed in ghosts. We'd been in the house for 30 minutes and they completely changed their minds, basically. And so Gina became more intrigued after that because we got audio footage, and I actually have video footage of a ghost as well, which is mental. The people from Haunted Happenings who saw the footage said they've never seen anything as clear as that. It's like the dress, well, two dresses, but particularly the second one, because we were speaking to like two Victorian spirits, two young girls who were coming through. And on the footage, there's like this back of this white ethereal dress that goes through the door, and no matter how many times you look at it, it's a bit mad, really. So that was that, and then we did loads different things on that, and then I got busy again and did something else, which is pretty much me.
What did you think to 30 East Drive? I've been myself.
Yeah.
My partner, she's had great experiences at East Drive. But when I went, I didn't really. There was a few things happened, but
Yeah.
not a massive amounts. I listened to part of the podcast of you guys there, and is it right? One of them got pulled by the hair shortly after.
Yeah, Lorraine was pulled
there.
by the hair right in front of me, and she thought Colin Manford, who's Jason's brother, who's part of the team, he was behind her, and she was convinced he was pulling his hair, and I could see he wasn't. There was a lot when a lot of it was the footage afterwards, because when I went to cut episode 2 together for the podcast, there's a bit where I ask a question about the black monk to the woman who came to talk about the house, and she was talking about it, and then you get this dark demonic voice in the background, and the voice of this little girl that's on the recording that was not there while we were there. So that came from somewhere, and I had this amazing chill down my back. It was incredible. In fact, one of the girls who was with us, Bo Bentley, who does Mindset TV, they did a seance, no, a vigil last night there. They were live. We were in the vets with the dog all night, so unfortunately I didn't get to watch it all. But I'll be looking forward to seeing that back. It's an intriguing place.
Yeah.
Definitely. And while we were there, I was sensing cold and things, and I got a little marble thrown at the back of my head. And there was one thing where there was some marbles in this back room, and we went in. There was 5 marbles, and we were convinced that they'd moved. And Bo, the professional ghost hunter, she said, "Let's get some pieces of paper." So we got 5 pieces of paper, and we put each of these marbles on the paper, put a circle around them, and we said, "Right, we'll leave the room as it is." So we were all together then, going around the house. We went back later, and none of those marbles had moved, but a 6th marble had appeared from nowhere. And then Lorraine, again, who didn't believe in ghosts until we did the vigil, she, about 3 days later, she goes back home and she walks into her son's bedroom, and there in the middle of the bedroom is a lone single marble.
Fuck
And her
off.
son didn't have marbles.
That's insane.
Yeah.
See, that's the kind of stuff that I know you talk on the podcast about them not being believers and they're being skeptics. And that's the kind of stuff that, like, you couldn't not believe after that. And it's interesting because when you guys were talking, that you went in there in the daytime initially, and I think one of the comments was from one of the ladies on the podcast. I didn't think ghosts come out in the daytime, which I thought was quite funny. Well, but if you're not into it, then you wouldn't. You just see everything's
that's
at night,
right,
isn't it?
Yeah, they're there, aren't they? It's again, what are they? I don't know. I mean, I often think that a lot of spirits. I sounded like Cilla Black then. I was going to say a lot of spirits. Surprise, surprise. It's time. It's interdimensional. It's like you have like in Bold Street in Liverpool, time slips and things like that. I think a lot of that is just time crossing over, which I don't quite understand. But then every now and again, maybe there are literally spirits. Yeah, it's interesting.
I mean, I was in a cemetery last night doing a
Mm.
live on TikTok, but I got there in the daytime, just so it's getting dusk. And it's a
Yeah,
completely different atmosphere in the
yeah,
daytime than it is at night.
yeah,
So I can see why people go ghost hunting in the nighttime, because it instills that atmosphere of horror film. But
yeah,
uh,
yeah. It
but there's
makes you
no
feel
reason for
scared
it to be time.
or whatever
It
else. Yeah,
does.
it's probably, yeah. I mean, I certainly wouldn't want to sleep in one of those bedrooms at East Drive on my own at night. That's for sure. But then my ex-wife's mother's house over in Mosley, that was demonic. There was something seriously wrong with that house, and um, you, if any of us went upstairs to the toilet, we always sensed there was something in this other bedroom watching you when you went downstairs. And everybody would run down. We'd always sensed there was something in there. And then one night I had to sleep in that room and I had the most horrendous dreams and felt drained the next day. It was horrible. Whether that's something to do with ley lines and energies or stuff that affects the way we feel about a property, that's also a possibility, isn't it?
So the experiences you had, you said when you were growing up with the orbs and seeing the ghost of your nan,
Yeah.
was that something that you talked to your parents or your guardians about at the time? Or did they experience anything?
Well, with the ghost of my aunt, she'd been dead about a month, and I'd woken up in the night and just tossing and turning, and I pulled my covers back and I could see her, and I could see right through her, and I stared, and I screamed, and put my head under the covers. I mean, my mum and my dad went, "What's going?" They shouted, "You what's up? What's up with you?" I went, "Nothing, nothing." I didn't want to say. And as I pulled the covers back, she sort of smiled and faded. Um, And I didn't really know her that well, but it was kind of complex. I've written a film about my dad's life in Ireland, and it's she was a troubled woman, and it was like she was just showing herself to me for one last time before she went. She was there, and the fact that my mum and dad heard me scream that I had seen something and it wasn't a dream, and it felt very real as well. And then when my other nan died in 2001, I was about 31 then. My mum's mum. I had this really, again, that was in a dream, but do you know when a dream's not a dream? It's so clear. I remember every bit of it now. And I'd walked into her house and it had all been cleared out, and I could hear her on the stairs. And I walked in, and she was sat on the stairs, dressed in white, on the phone, and she was chatting away. And I wanted to just give her a hug, and I had to say, "Nan, you can move now. You can move on." And she put the phone down. She got up. She smiled, and she says, "I know, love. I know." And she gave me a hug, and I went, "Woof," and I woke up in the bed and jumped out of bed, and I looked out the windows and went, everything. The weather was the same. Everything that it was something more. And you can't, unless you've experienced it, you can't really kind of say it. But I really felt like I saw her.
Yeah, it's interesting that people who are not into the paranormal, don't believe, or whatever you want to call it. I think the paranormal experience is a completely personal experience. We've spoken to many people, and like some people would have an experience, and other people on the same night or the same location may not have a similar one. So it
Yeah.
all appears to be like super personal. And like you said, you've seen relatives like
Yeah.
appearing or whatnot to you. So that's like a deeply personal
Well, I actually
thing.
believe I saw my son's spirit born as well, which was
Wow.
when my ex-wife was pregnant. Which she'd never been psychic before and never has been since. But while she was pregnant, she used to see this little spirit of this boy running around the bed in this scruffy vest. And then when Ben was born, I swear on his life, I saw this massive golden globe envelop around his body as he came out and crash into him. Like this, with like sparks of golden light just went all over the place.
Wow.
And I just kept my mouth shut for a little bit. And that was it. And actually, one of the first things he said to me and my ex was, "Why did I come back to the same family?" Well, his first words,
What the
very
fuck?
early on. And we said, "What do you mean, Ben?" He went, "When I was in heaven with Grandma, why did I come back to the same family?"
Wow.
What do you even say to that? What did you say to that?
We just went, don't know. I'm not sure, really. You know, he obviously remembers none of that now.
No.
You know, but
wow, that's a bit different to where the babies come from. Wow.
Yeah, isn't it? Where the spirits come from? Yeah.
God. So about like your new wife and your kids, they have any belief or interest in this sort of stuff?
My wife Jojo does actually. She's had experiences. A brother passed away unfortunately last year, and I didn't really know him. I'd not met him. There was kind of stuff that had happened in the family, unfortunately. But after he died, I felt like I knew him very well. He was doing things in our house. He was moving things around, and this little teddy bear that she had appeared from nowhere. She'd not seen it for years, and he had a big thing about Japan. And so Jojo wanted to go and she said, I want to work in Japan. I want to go to Japan. I want to get a job in Japan. Just go for a few weeks. I'd love to see Japan. And then randomly, 2-3 months later, she was doing a film in Japan, which is like just in the most random way that she got it as well. She didn't go out there looking for that job in Japan. It came to her.
Strange, isn't it?
So, so he has, without a doubt, been around. And when my dad died, he was setting things up for me, and there was loads of stuff, and you just become, but non-believers just put it down to coincidence all the time, don't they? But when you know it's not a coincidence, these things seem to happen on a consistent basis. So,
I mean, when we've been doing the podcast over the years, we've mentioned that a lot of stuff happens between me and Ash, and loads of synchronicities and coincidences. And you get to a point, you go, at what point is a coincidence not a coincidence? Because there is a point, you go, that literally can't be just fluke. It can't be a luck thing. Something is like me and Ash had never met until like a couple of weeks before the podcast started.
Yeah.
And it's just loads of stuff just seemed to sort of bring us together. And people we've spoken to, they've all got links to other guests we've spoken to in different countries. It's all really mad. And
it's how these things are meant to be. People come into your lives at certain times for things that are supposed to happen, then they disappear again. And I mean, there's loads of stuff that's happened to me over there. Well, look, this is another thing. My dad always called himself the Fox. Obviously, Fox, the name. Irish bricky, drinker, lunatic, really. But he called himself the Fox. And when we lived in Saddleworth, me and my ex had this fox, which is quite a distinctive fox in the front garden, and it got nicked. There was loads of these little. Whoever was doing it, there was a period where people's garden ornaments were getting nicked.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, and so my dad died, and a couple of days later, my ex-wife is walking up in the area where we used to live, and she just sees this house and goes, "That looks like the Fox." And so she went in, and this guy said, he got it from the market in Ashton, and like a second-hand place, and they got it around the time ours was stolen. And he said, "Listen, have that back. It sounds like you need to have that back." So she brought it back, and I put it in my garden. And so the Fox was back the week after my dad died. Wow. And then when I got Chitty, I was in a bar in Bruges, a bar that's in the film in Bruges, which I love. And I got the phone call to say I'd got Chitty, and we were going to go into this restaurant the other side of the town. And then my wife, as we walked out of this bar, said, "I think we should be going here, don't you?" And the bar next door was called The Fox again. It was like, and we went in, and she was telling the guy who owned the place the story of my dad and the Fox. He said, "Well, it's very strange that you're coming today, because next week it won't be called The Fox anymore. We're renaming the bar."
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I've not heard from my dad lately. I think he's doing his own thing now. Maybe he's been reborn. I don't know. But certainly periods. I feel like it, maybe there's unfinished business they want to deal with before they can move on. I don't know.
Obviously, you've had quite a lot of stuff happening. how do you kind of balance the sort of belief side and the skepticism side? Do you have to have sort of evidence, or do you go with more of a gut feeling, maybe?
Oh, the gut feeling, really, yeah. And, accept people, also people who come up with potential other explanations as well, go, yeah, maybe, or, And then on the balance of probability of the amount of things that happen to you, there's certain things we're like, no, that's it happened. You know it happened. I should have written down all things. There's so many. I should actually write a book about that. In fact, I'm about to write a TV series about a guy who gets abducted by aliens. I think it's going to be a comedy. I need to get it sorted because it's got to be pitched in the next month. I've not even written a word yet, but I've got the idea. So, yeah, there's so many people, isn't there, who has experiences. It really is. Because I do Reiki as well. I have a Reiki practitioner, and one of my mates says it's a load of nonsense, but I know when I do Reiki, I can feel it, and I know the energy's flowing, so, yeah.
Kind of on that note, one of the questions I wanted to ask was, there's a few like TV stars that have done paranormal shows, like Craig Charles,
Yeah.
Corey Medworth, and Jack Osborne, people like that have done like UFO and paranormal shows. That's something you would like to do. Obviously, you just mentioned the screenplay. Is that something you would do, something like that?
Yeah. I have a plan. There's something potentially I might do later this year, because there was a TV series which could have happened, didn't quite. So I'm going to do it online first, and then once we get a following, see if we can go back to TV with it. So that'd be quite a celebrity-based show and cover the whole genre. Probably get you guys on it as well. But it needs a bit of. I suppose it's because at the minute I've got quite a few months free, as far as I know. But you never know; I could get a job next week. But it's a nice time to get these ideas together and formulate them. So yeah, I definitely want to do more of it and do some live ghost hunts as well online.
Oh yeah, we'd help you with that.
Yeah.
We'd be up for that.
We'll get it sorted.
It's something that we've recently started getting into, is sort of like ghost hunts online.
Yeah.
Yes, we're and it's quite enjoyable. We do them separately under the same name. So I cover the south of the country and Ash covers the north of the country.
Great.
And we get together every now and again and
well, I think the thing, isn't it, when the problem with a lot of the shows that are on TV, which often say this is just for enjoyment, which basically means they've made most of it up. It is that we don't have to make it up because there's no financial pressures for us to do that. We're just doing it.
Yep.
And it doesn't benefit anybody to blag it. So if you're going to get something, you're more likely to get it in a space like this than on a TV show, I guess. So,
what about did you talk about this stuff with your cast and crewmates on your shows you worked on, or how were they kind of reactive to it?
Yeah, I think a few on Chitty I did. I think one or two were quite spiritual. And then on Emmerdale, Samantha Giles, who played Bernice on the show, she's a white witch. So she was very much into all this sort of stuff. And Kelly Hollis, who played my wife originally in the show, she's mates with Sasha Christie. Obviously, does all the UFO stuff. So that she was very much into all that. So I do like talking to people who are a little bit, we like to say wacky. We're not wacky. We've just got our eyes open to other things, Yeah, I like interesting people, shall we say?
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
You ever been kind of hesitant to talk about it? Maybe like backstage and stuff?
No. I think you've just got to be yourself, haven't you? Maybe if I was younger, I would be. Because I don't really care if people believe me or not, because you just know yourself, don't you? It doesn't benefit anybody to make this stuff up.
No.
Because you will get people who think, oh, he's a bit of a nutter. It's like I love Uncanny. I know Danny Robbins, he's got a very much, like Little Red Riding Hood in his red jacket every week. But I just think he's good. In fact, that was one of the reasons that when I was doing the podcast, I stopped for a bit because Uncanny was so good. I just went, I just want to listen to that every week now. But now that's running. There's still obviously there's a place for all sorts, isn't there? But yeah, I think in the arts, a lot of people are into this sort of thing because we're quite open-minded. You have to be. So yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, do you think that like sort of actors and creatives are more open-minded, more free
I think
spirited?
so. You have to be, don't you? If you're connecting with the higher, when you sit with a blank piece of paper and you're trying to write a script, where does the inspiration come from? Some say you're connected with a higher source. Don't know. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. I don't know. Where do you get inspiration from? Where do we get ideas from? Some of it is because of our life experiences, but other things are just like blow your mind. Where's that? How can a musician write a song in 5 seconds from nowhere? I did a short film a few years ago, and the song I wrote was ridiculous. It was so good. I literally wrote it in 3 minutes, and I wanted to sing it, and the director's going, "No, I'm singing it," and it's a great little song on this the short film won an award. My mate wrote it. I'm in it with Warren Brown. Warren Brown's from Warrington as well. Actually, he was in Luther and different things. And then this song was great, but you don't know where these things come from, do you? Just I don't know. I don't know. I'm not religious, but then again, it's all summer, isn't it? I don't know.
Well, so on the podcast, you talk a lot about the paranormal, and obviously you cover off UFOs and that with Sasha. What do you think? There's less of a stigma with your peers, for example, to talk about spiritual side, the paranormal, or the UFO side? Because I know when we speak to people, everybody's got a story about the paranormal potentially.
Yeah.
Like, oh, the house I used to live in or I grew up in has got knocks and creaks, but there's less people, not so much now, but less people talk about UFOs. And I just wondered, like within your peers and the people you mix with, would you be more likely to have a conversation about ghosts or UFOs?
Probably either now, but I know what you mean. Back in the day, probably less about UFOs because people thought you're mad. But with everything that's gone in the States and Congress and all that, that they're. I mean, you also wonder, but are they saying that we don't know what these things are when they absolutely damn well do, and it's our technology? Is that part of the cover up? Who knows? But I think people are more willing to talk about things, and the amount of people you talk to who have seen things on both the ghost side and the UFO things, you end up sitting in a bar talking about things, and you go, "Have you ever seen that?" And they go, "No, no, no." And they take a sip of the pint and go, "Well, actually, I was going down this road under," and then there's like, "Oh, you might have seen something actually." So I do think there's less stigma on all of it than there used to be. Because people are doom scrolling every day, aren't they? And they're going through, they're looking at 1,000,001 stories on the internet about all. I mean, some of these videos of UFOs doesn't help, does it?
No.
I mean, it's really bad CGI. It's not even AI. I mean, it's just pathetic. And that's the problem now, isn't it? With AI, we're all looking at these talking babies every day on Facebook now, which I love. I think is brilliant. But you can't. In fact, can you turn me into a little baby on your podcast instead? You just can't believe what you see in a video. And more so, you've got to see it for yourself. But do we want to see it? Well, I don't know. I think the biggest alien we've got at the minute is Donald Trump. So I mean,
definitely. I think some of the appeal about the live stuff that's all over Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok is the fact that you're less likely to get something that's been CGI'd, for example, because it's in the moment, which I think is potentially some of the appeal. We actually interviewed ChatGPT last week.
Right, really?
Yeah, we had a full-on conversation about the paranormal and UFOs with my ChatGPT Pro assistant, Sparky.
Wow.
He came up with the name as well. I called him a he.
Yeah.
He created the artwork of what he looked like and that. And even then, I showed it to my parents, and they were like, "It sounds like just having a conversation with a normal person." It was that insane. So we're getting to a point now where not just the the videos of becoming AI and CGI, the actual conversations taking place.
It's scary, isn't it? They sort of talk about having one of these false flag alien invasion events. There's people saying they're going to do that. Well, they could probably do it, couldn't they? Really, and convince everybody. So it's a dangerous one, isn't it? Because you've got to read the news, you've got to take in information from around the world as well, and take an interest in politics, in life, in everything else. But you end up thinking, I just want to switch off from all of it because I don't believe it.
Yeah.
Which isn't healthy. That's why Trump has all these thing about you can't trust the media. Well, it's a tool for him, isn't it? He's weaponized that statement. So, I don't know what we do now. Truth's become old hat, hasn't it? Look, we are the truth.
Yeah.
That's all we can do.
So what's your take on what you think UFOs might be?
I used to always think it was a time traveling thing, and that's why they couldn't connect with us, because they wouldn't be allowed to speak to us. They can't affect the future. That was my initial thing. I'm not 100% convinced that they come from other planets and other systems. I think maybe they've always been here. It's more interdimensional, especially because it's lights and the way they seem to come in and out. Whatever it is, including our own technology, I honestly don't. I wouldn't. No one's got a clue, have they? But there is definitely, without a doubt, something that's going on and has been going on since the dawn of time, really. And now we've got video phones and all this social media, and we're having to fill content every second of the day across the planet. There's more and more and more stories about these things, so people are becoming more aware of it. But I think it's always been here, whatever it is.
Do you have a favourite UFO case? So maybe a producer rings you up, says, "We're going to do one episode, one doc. I'll send you anywhere in the world to do an hour-long feature on this UFO case."
I love that one, the Brazilian one that was on the documentary last year. Yeah, that was great. What that one? That was just because the alien was cowering behind a building, wasn't he? And then they took him to the hospital, and whoever touched the body had died, and that seemed a really intriguing case. That there was so many people who witnessed it. There was like hundreds of potentially 1,000 people witnessed it, wasn't it? There was it was a massive thing that happened in Brazil, and it seems to be in South America. The governments have been quite open about all this stuff for a number of years. In Chile and places like that these things are there. I suppose they must scare people. I mean, it's all to do with religion, etc., isn't it? Whether it affects humanity and who we think we are or what we're not, and could send people around the bend, really, couldn't it? I don't know. It's I kind of don't want to know. I mean, part of it's like, I mean, the Loch Ness monster obviously doesn't exist. It was a ploy. It was a ploy for tourism, but this is different. It's just a big, massive, wide-ranging thing. Who knows?
On that note, what about maybe other aspects of the paranormal, like cryptids, Bigfoot? Do you think the UK could have a Bigfoot? What's kind of your take on, or any interest in that side of the paranormal?
Yeah, the Bigfoot thing. It was on. I think there was a story. There was an uncanny story on the Bigfoot, wasn't there? There was something on there. I think there's potential. I mean, we've got massive apes, haven't we? There's certain breeds of apes that were only discovered a century ago, or something like that. Maybe there are limited amounts of creatures that we've not witnessed, who keep away from us because they've got the sense to keep away from humans because they know we're dangerous, and they're only monsters because we've not met them. They would just be creatures, really. A monster is the unknown, isn't it? So that's kind of what I think. Like a bundle snowman or things. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, it's just because they're unknown. That's why they're a monster. But it is possible. Yeah.
So you did the investigation at Fairchief's Drive. Is that something you'd done before, or was that the first time you kind of did
the first time I'd done East Drive? Yeah. I think there's an old prison in Liverpool, isn't there? I think we might possibly do that if we do this next series. And then Bo Bentley. I think Bo's great. Do you know Bo from Mindset TV?
No.
She's great. She's like a funky young DJ ghost hunter. Do you know what I mean? She's like she's TV friendly. She's like she's perfect for this sort of thing, and she knows her stuff, and she's got all the equipment and everything. And so when I do some more stuff with her, getting her involved when we start doing this, and let's see where we go to. I mean, some of the most boring places could be the most haunted, can't they? If this is another, I forgot this. I was doing night school when I was 18, and I was in Stockport, and we were walking back towards going to go to the chip shop and get the bus home, and walked through this old RAF. The ATC, the Army Training Corps, like the kids group. I don't know if they still do that or not. And me and my mate were walking through, and right in front of us was this man with a flat cap and this little Jack Russell. And as I'm talking to him, mate, this man just vanished into thin air, and we both stood still. And I went, "Did you see that?" And he went, "What? That man disappeared?" I went, "Yeah."
Wow.
And he's never forgotten it. So, and that was just his old broken down. It was just we were doing a shortcut, and it literally vanished. So who knows where we'll go with it? But definitely gonna do some more.
Do you find so you've spoken to us about all these things that has happened to you and UFOs and paranormal?
Yeah.
Do you think certain people? I know you mentioned about actors and artists having, say, a bit more open-minded, but do you think that certain people have a propensity to experience more paranormal stuff? So for example, we speak to people who have had UFO experiences, and then when we're starting to talk to them, they go, and we talk about their childhood, and they go, "Oh, actually, we did have some stuff happen in the house," and all through their life, it's sort of gone paranormal to UFOs. I just wonder if you think certain people do have that.
I think it might run in the family. Because my dad's mum used to see things. The ghost who I saw, she saw things as she was younger, and my dad used to see orbs all the time in Ireland. In fact, where he came from in Ireland, they used to call these lights the Copner lights. It was Tullow and Carlow, and Copner was this small little part outside Tullow. And obviously, then there was no street lights. There was nothing. It was 1950s. That area of that island, there was quite a lot of poverty, and they didn't have much at all. But if people went out at night or they were on their way home, they would talk about the Copner lights, which would appear beside them and light their way home. And when they got home, the light would just disappear. And they didn't even find that spooky. It was just the Copner lights. It was just a thing that happened, and there was nothing strange about it. So, yeah. And so my dad saw some of that stuff. And when I went over to meet some of my dad's family about 3 years ago, I'd never met before. They told me all about the Copner lights. Going, no, it was just a thing, So whether that's in the family, I think we've all probably got potential to experience it. But when you experience it at a young age, as a little kid like I did, certainly with the orbs and things, it just makes you feel there's something going on, and then some people close themselves off. Maybe people close themselves off because they're scared of it, or I don't know. In life, I think generally in life, be open to experiences, be open to opportunities. Whether that's seeing a ghost or changing your life and getting a new job or whatever. Get inspiration out of life every day if you can. That's what I try to do. Don't work every day, but I think that's probably got something to do with it.
Do you think that media, like TV shows and films, influence kind of the general public's perception on what UFOs and hauntings and stuff are?
Yeah, there's so much stuff, isn't there? There's probably more on UFOs than there is ghosts these days, isn't there? It's become massive, and I think a lot of that is like the world's in a funny place, isn't there? And stuff that's wars that are going on here, there, and everywhere, fear of the other, and so a lot of these fears are put on. Then UFOs are a kind of representation of general fear that people have on the minute of at the minute of some sort of outside force, and most of the stuff you watch, just because I can't tell you how many times I've watched something on Rendlesham Forest. I'm sick of hearing about it. It's like, yeah, right, it might have happened, yeah, maybe it did, but stop going on at Rendlesham Forest. We've covered it again and again and again and again. You know, I think you know, a few new topics probably need to be covered, or other angles of looking at it. I'm remembering, you know, it could well be our tech. You know, could easily be our tech. So just keep an open mind.
No, it's true what you say about because even like new docs come out and they talk about like Wendell Sherman, Roswell. It's like what can you add? It's like how
there's nothing more, is there?
Adding to it. There's nothing. It's 40 years. It's 80 years since Roswell. Like
another Bob Lazar documentary. Like, bless him. Like, you know, told his story. Now he bravely told his story, or whatever. You know. Yeah, there's very little. Sometimes I'll look through Prime and stuff, and you get quite low budget films on Prime, don't you? Where they've spent 50 quid on this hour-long documentary, and it's all fair enough. But if you've only got 50 quid, do it on a podcast like this, you know, or whatever. Don't try to make something glossy if you've not got the budget, because it just looks a bit. You might as well not start it, you know. But there's not much fresh stuff out there, is there?
No, I mean that's why we do what we do. Because UFO Identified, my group. It was because when I first started sort of researching properly 5 or so years ago, I just couldn't find anything that was like up to date or current.
Yeah,
or stuff from the 80s or 90s in the UK, or stuff from America that's happening now. There's nothing in the UK now. That's why I sort of started the whole group to like fill that gap. And this is what's happening now. These are cases that happened 2 months ago, last year, 2 years ago. It's all fresh. So witnesses that are still around, so you can actually go and speak to them.
Yeah,
things like that. So it's so that's kind of what the inspiration for my work and the podcast.
Yeah, that's great.
The tagline for the podcast is the lesser known stories. Because we don't. What's the point of doing Rendlesham? What's the point of doing Roswell?
We could do a big episode on what was my white light in Winnick. What was that about? That's the new mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah. People are probably experiencing things every day, aren't they? I'm not saying anything, but
do you remember? You might not have seen it at the time. It was during COVID. It was 20 or 21, and there was that alien picture from St. Helens. Little alien walking across the road in St. Helens.
Really?
At the time, I lived in Warrington. I live in Manchester now, but I lived in Warrington at the time.
Yeah.
And it's when we were allowed like 30 minutes a day exercise. That it was during that time.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was like, right, I'm going to go to this park. I'm going to go to Victoria Park in St. Helens for my exercise. So I'm legally allowed to go out to investigate this alien on this street.
Yeah.
It's clearly a hoax. Cardboard cutout thing on the road. Well, I've written a whole article about it. It's just, I thought, and even look at the picture, like, it's clearly a fake.
Yeah.
But it's 10 minutes from a house. If it isn't, that sort of 0.001% chance.
Yeah, go and check it out.
In St. Helens, I'm going to go and check it out. That's just a funny story that happened in.
I've seen a few aliens over the years.
Especially in St. Helens.
Yeah, normally at the bus station. But no, I love St. Helens. I did Panto there last year. Actually, it was gorgeous. But yeah, it's good. People have a laugh with it as well, isn't it? You know, it's. You know, you can't take it too seriously sometimes. It's interesting, isn't it? It's an interesting topic. Some people see things, some people don't, but it's, you know, it's always going to be interesting.
Yeah, you got to be able to laugh at yourself. Like we do our conferences every year, like UFO Identified, and we sell out every year.
Yeah,
and it's really good conferences. We have some new, real good information being shared. We've had police officers giving talks, scientists giving talks.
Yeah.
And on the lunch break, we have a tin foil hat competition.
Yeah.
Everyone gets a bit of tin foil. The finalists come on the stage, the winner gets a prize. It's a bit of fun. But then we get people saying, oh, that was inappropriate. It was like you taking the mick out of me. It's like, that was 10 minutes out of a whole day. And he decided to sort of focus on that because we get called tinfoil hat people and conspiracy theorists and, like you say, wacky people, loonies. And it's kind of like the taking ownership of it. It's like, we can still have a laugh at it. Like we know what we are. Like it's
I think so. You have some people who I mean, some abductees are traumatized, but I think if people have been abducted, and I believe some people have, maybe it's different for them. Maybe they've suffered a lot of trauma through this kind of stuff. But generally, I think most of us just not laugh at it, but don't take it too seriously, because we'll probably never find out. We're not supposed to find out, I don't think.
True. You ever had an experience on set? I wanted to ask.
Yeah. I when I first started in Emmerdale, I was getting pulled by this ghost when I was stood at the Woolpack Bar around my back. And Tony Ordinshaw plays Bob. I went, Tom, what are you doing? He went, not doing anything, Fox. What do you mean? Someone just pulled, and then I got pulled, and there was no one there. That happened 3 times, and at that time as well, the few people were experiencing things, and one of the lads who, one of the assistant directors, went into makeup and was just shouting across just to see if he was looking for some member of cast or whatever. And as he called him, somebody grabbed his arm and pulled him out of the room, and there was nobody there, And a few things like that happened. And when I was in Chitty at Blackpool Theatre, which is really, most theatres have ghosts, but I didn't experience much while on tour. But when I was in my dressing room up at Blackpool, I saw this shadow walk past the room 3 or 4 times, and then on one occasion walk right through and right past the room. With that shadow, but it wasn't scary. But it was something. And Blackpool apparently has a lot of old soldiers as ghosts in the auditorium, because they'd go to the theatre before they went off to war. So that was quite a thing as well. But yeah, I think Chitty wise, that was kind of it, I think, and not too much in Emmerdale, just that incident. So you'd think there'd be more, wouldn't you? But maybe I might be wrong. I'll come on again if I think of anything.
No, I mean I guess the set that would have been on the fairly newish, isn't it? I think, compared to the old one.
But yeah, I mean, where that set was with the Woolpack was at that point, and that's where they used to film, like just around the corners where Rising Damp was filmed back in the day. It's all the studio in Leeds, so there's a lot of stuff been filmed in that building. I think the old Coronation Street set had a lot of spooks as well. There was a few things went on there with people. But yeah.
What do you think makes a location particularly haunted? Because, like you said, a lot of theatres are known to have ghosts. So when we were writing, when we wrote our book, and we done a series on it about haunted United States. There's always paranormal United States. Lots of places that have had trauma seem to be affected for obvious reasons, but why do you think that theatres might do? Because I've heard it. People go, "Well, it's always haunted there. There's the ghost of the."
I think that's energy. I think that's loving stuff, isn't it? I think Jason Manford told a story when he was working. I can't remember which theatre it was in London off the top of my head, but he was on one show. Maybe it was Uncanny, and he was talking about he was on a Zoom to one of his kids, I think it was his daughter, and the child kept asking who this man was, who the man behind him was. He was crying, and he was like, "No, there was nobody." And this would happened on a few occasions, and Jason hadn't seen anything, but his child had seen this soldier behind. Anyway, unbeknownst to him, there was this ghost of this soldier of the tin hat who was seen in the theatre. Somebody who died in the theatre. So that I think that was an interesting one. You'll have to get Jason on, see if he can tell you more about that one.
You can link us up. That'd be great.
Speak to Colin, see if he can get his brother on. But yeah, and some of the actors, you hear stories, things that they'd seen. One of the guys in our show had seen this little kid the other side of the theatre in a previous show years ago, but that kid was not there. Who knows?
Man, there's another power hall in Warrington's got about 7 or 8 different ghosts, I believe.
Has it really?
That's quite haunted. I've had a few shows done about it.
Yeah.
The ghost at Power Hall, which is.
I'll check that out. Maybe I'll go there myself.
I think they do go from time to time.
Yeah. Do it. Great stuff.
Nice one. Well, I think that's it for me.
Well, I've
Really,
enjoyed it.
been a great chat.
Been good.
Liam.
It's been really good.
I might go and watch myself something about UFOs on Prime now before I go to bed.
Well, you want to watch? We did an episode from Delamere Forest.
All right.
We filmed a documentary with a guy called Danny Moss, who is quite big in the paranormal world.
Oh, really?
That's a UFO episode on YouTube, which is quite fun. And we've been Delamere Forest as well. That's like weird stuff and UFOs as well.
Proper weird stuff at Delamere. Delamere's
check it out.
creepy.
My ex-sister-in-law lives in the middle of Delamere Forest, actually, opposite Hatchmere Lake. So, yeah, their house was like 400 years old. So there used to be a few weird creaks and things happened in there as well. Wow. But yeah.
We've been there a couple of times in the past month or so.
Yeah.
Live investigations from Delamere Forest.
I'll watch it. Yeah, I'll check that out.
Nice. Well, yeah, thank you, Liam Fox, for your time.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much.
See you again sometime. All the best, lads.
Thanks for listening to Pursuit of the Paranormal, title music created by Steve Yarwood and Ambienfinity. If you like the show, please follow us on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, X, and Instagram. And if you really like the show, please rate and review the show wherever you are listening. It really does help. See you next time, and until then, stay weird.